good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next Amazon Roundtable. Good to see a few of you returning from previous sessions. We're actually evolving these slightly, so we have some guests from Push with us today, and we'll pass over to them to introduce themselves shortly. But what we're doing with these is we've obviously covered Amazon over the last 6 months quite extensively in a very sort of Q&A fashion. But going forwards, we're going to broaden that out to the wider e-com landscape and deliver some slightly more structured content, which hopefully you guys can take away and get some real learnings out of this. And that's where Push have kindly stepping in. So for those of you that don't know GS1, obviously many of you will be members. We are a not-for-profit membership organisation. Essentially, without going into too much detail, we're a standards organisation. So we look at how we can apply standards to different industries to facilitate supply chain transparency. So that might be in the healthcare across patient journey. That could be in the retail sector, from products from manufacturer to retailer to buyer or customer, and sometimes if they return back to retailer. So there's a lot of different applications. Commonly, a lot of you will know us for barcodes and GTINs. So if anyone's selling products in store or online, you will need to be a member of GS1 to allow you to do that. So we're going to kick off today's session. We've got Kevin, Steve, and Charlie. So I'll pass over to Kevin to introduce himself.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Obviously, Kevin, founder of Fuel My Website. We're an Amazon-only agency, so all we deal with are helping people get set up and list their products on Amazon. I'm sure some of you guys have been on various chats with us in the past, and if you've got any follow-up questions from last time, please feel free to ask a question, anything you want about Amazon.
That's it. And Steve?
Yeah, hi, I'm Steve. I'm from Push. We founded Push 15 years ago. We started off really with Google advertising, and now we are about 51 people in London, and we do all forms of advertising. I'll pass over to Charlie, who's our performance head of performance direction.
Hey, nice to meet everyone. I've been working in digital for about 10-12 years now, and I've helped scale lots of e-commerce businesses using different channels like Google, Amazon, Facebook. So here for any questions at the end.
Great, good stuff. So today's session, as I said, we're going to be looking at the wider e-com landscape. Obviously, Amazon is a great platform, and there's lots you can do within Amazon. But in actual fact, to get the most out of that platform and to really drive sales, you really need to look towards other platforms. That might be social, that might be Google PPC, because they really form a wider e-commerce strategy and drive and funnel traffic towards Amazon to really help you to get the most out of your listings. So without further ado, I shall pass over to Steve and Charlie. I think you guys have got a few slides that you'd like to run through.
Thanks very much. So to start off with, what I would say is that we've been working with Kevin now for about 4 or 5 years, and a lot of the inquiries Kevin passes our way are typical. If they're an Amazon customer, what we're often seeing is they're looking to try and scale their business beyond just reliance on Amazon. So I'll share my screen if you bear with me. It should work. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see. Is that all going okay?
Yep, existing.
Yeah, so cool. So we're Push, as I said, and so we're talking about how you grow your business. So typically what we're seeing, the sorts of people that get in touch with us, sometimes they've been traditionally reliant on just wholesale and retail, and they're looking to go direct to consumer or build their online sales. Secondly, we come across people where the majority of sales are online, but they're dependent on one channel. So when we say channel, what we mean by that is platform. So they might be someone that's grown their business and it's pretty much all been on Amazon. Or sometimes it might be they've grown their business and they've just been relying on Google driving the sales. But what we're really trying to get people to is to understand that it's multiple channels or platforms that really get that growth going. So what we mean by that in particular is where people are using advertising to try and grow their business. Now, all of us presumably are, in the UK at the moment. What many of you might not appreciate, but the UK is the leading market in the world for digital advertising. So of all the money spent on advertising in the UK, 70% of it is on digital platforms. And you can imagine the vast majority of that at the moment is actually on Google networks, on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. Big growing part of that is on TikTok. Really huge growth this year. And what we see really is we're looking to try and understand, and this is the strategy for anyone considering, is like truly trying to understand your end customer, the consumer. What is their behavior? Where are they spending their time? In terms of like Google, Facebook, Instagram, Bing, Amazon, TikTok, and all the other different platforms, Pinterest and many, trying to understand where they're spending their time, trying to get the right channel strategy together, and then measuring the return on investment. That's really what it's all about. And I've used this example here to say, so then, we talk about then, like even 2 years ago is almost like a lifetime ago. Things have changed. Even before the pandemic, things were changing very quickly in digital. So what we show this is that this is the then used to be our typical customer. So our typical customer might have been looking at investing in just one channel to grow their business. They might be running SEO on Google or PPC on Google. And it's changed. We very rarely come across clients or customers now, whether they're spending a few £100s a month on advertising or hundreds of thousands of pounds a month on advertising. We very rarely come across people that are only on one channel where that's the solution for them. They have to go across all of these. You can see on the right-hand side, what we're now faced with is people trying to drive sales through Facebook, through Instagram, through Pinterest, through Amazon, through TikTok, all of these different channels at the same time to try and grow. And specifically with Amazon, if you're just on Amazon, 40% of sales are preceded by a sponsored click, by an ad now, so that it's a pretty big deal. And it's not, you need to think of Amazon as not a search engine, as a sales engine. The aim of the game is to increase your sales rank to boost organic rankings. So you can boost the sales rank by increasing sales and generating positive reviews. The keys to success are making sure your listings are optimized and using ads to drive sales. So it's like a pay to play. Within that, when you're looking to launch a product or promote a product, look at understand the sort of time continuum here. So a product in Amazon, you need to invest early to see the results further down the line. So you can get an understanding here of where the kind of the profitability is coming from. So you've got these measures here of looking at sales, impressions, clicks, and spend. So you're investing up front at launch, increase sales, and then you try and target an increase in profitability. You can see that the spend is high at the start, but time taken also follows this line, and you need good listing as well to convert sales, the traffic into sales. So the kind of key tactics we use to achieve results just through Amazon are about automated or sponsored products and campaigns, manual campaigns. So in the case of automatic, we're looking at identifying the winning keywords using automation. With manual campaigns, we take performing keywords identified by auto and create campaigns to focus on driving more volume from them. And it's also important to consider the structure. So separate out products and consider the differences in their margins. So, not every product gets treated the same way. You have to look at the margins in place there. So just a quick bit about us. So I'll go for this really quick, but basically 2007, we work with lots, we work with lots of different partners, which you can see here. So we work with Google, Bing, Meta, Amazon, and TikTok. TikTok's really taken off this year. We've been in the game for 15 years, and we manage spend outside of the UK as well. We've got quite a few different awards, which you can see on our website. this is the team. So we've got a team that's 50 plus people in London. Our offices are in White City. And then we've got people outside of the UK as well in Dubai and Athens. I think we also work with Google on international growth programs. So if anyone's looking to grow internationally, talk to us about that or ask questions. And what we'll be doing at the end here is when we've taken some of the questions, we're very happy to offer anyone a 30-minute consultation. It's completely open. There is, there's no sales pitch after. It's like, how can we help you? And we just leave it with you there. We're pretty inundated with inquiries, as you can imagine, at the moment. So we're just looking to try and help people as much as we can, just like Kevin's been doing. So I'll stop sharing now. That's enough from me. And we're very happy to take any questions.
Great. So we've got a few questions registered, which we'll go through. But I just wondered, Steve, if I can ask you, in terms of like the wider landscape of all the different platforms and channels, obviously we've got the rise of TikTok, which is piloting their shop in the UK and Indonesia. I mean, what do you see as the upcoming place to focus? Obviously, a mix of channels is the ideal situation, but we have founders on here that are developing products. They're a bit time stricken. Is there maybe one that shines a little bit more above the others, where you would say, it's a good place to start?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's kind of the most common question we get now. Is like we get people calling us or contacting us that they're not quite sure where to invest their money. 5 years ago, maybe a bit before, the typical call we'd get is, I'm advertising on Google, but I'm not getting the return on investment. Where do I, what do I need to do to improve it? Now, Google is still really important. I mean, it's still 50% of digital plus of digital advertising spend. So you can't ignore that channel. You have to have a strategy for Google. You're right about TikTok's rise, and I'll come on to talk about Meta. But TikTok, if it's for the customer base, obviously, if us, I'm old, I'm way over 50. I'm on TikTok to try and understand what it's about, and you can really go down a rabbit hole with it. But it's in my experience of 50, and I've been in marketing for 30 years, but in digital for 15 years. I've never seen something take off like this. Obviously, we all saw the rise of Facebook and Instagram, but TikTok's really, really ramped very quickly. The big opportunity, if you think that your consumers may be on TikTok, the big opportunity I would say and flag to all of you is that there's a general rule of thumb, which is when something is new, like TikTok, the quicker you can kind of work out the way to get it to work for you, you will lower your overall cost of acquisition of a new customer. So we see people where if they get in early doors on these channels and get it to work, then they really benefit ahead of their competition. We saw that with Google AdWords in 2006-07. We saw it with Facebook and Meta. So it's about not waiting around, not waiting to be like the last one. Everyone knows with Meta, so with Facebook and Instagram, there have been some challenges in the last year. In terms of like answering the question, really around where to start. It may be that Facebook and Instagram are still appropriate for you, but it all depends on where your end consumer is. So I hope that gives you a bit of an overview of all of those. And not forgetting as well, Microsoft. Believe it or not, there's some great opportunities still on Bing and Microsoft. And I think all of our e-commerce customers or clients, they've all got some sort of Microsoft campaigns where they're getting much lower cost per acquisition typically than Google.
I was going to say, Steve, because I was actually going to ask a question about TikTok, because we're being asked probably 10 times a day, where else can we sell? Where else should we advertise? And I remember at the Push conference a few months ago, that the TikTok guy was saying that it was surprising me that the average age of a TikTok user isn't what you'd imagine. Like apparently, in my mind, TikTok was sort of 15, 16, 20-year-olds. But it was saying it's far older than that, isn't it, apparently?
Much older, and of course when they release the data, which they're very obviously, all these companies are a little bit secretive about the data and publishing it all, is there was always a lag. So if you go on TikTok now as a user, you'll see there's a lot of older people on it. I use the phrase, remember when we thought when you thought WhatsApp was just for kids? Well, look at it. X years later, we're all on WhatsApp groups. The change with TikTok is happening very quickly. So if you look at the decline in Facebook kind of traffic and users, so Facebook, the platform rather than the overall arching brand, you can see people now migrating onto TikTok. Obviously, it's already happened on Instagram. So there's a lot of the age group on Instagram is younger than Facebook, generally speaking. And the age book on TikTok is generally younger, but we shouldn't think that there are not older people. There's a lot of people, if you go on, there's a lot of people way over 50 that are on TikTok, whether they're looking at football videos or anything, just things to make that, because TikTok is essentially we all of us sometimes put it in that social media. It's actually, they would describe themselves as an entertainment platform. And I put something out on LinkedIn yesterday. There was a report by Ofcom. It was highlighted by the BBC, and it was saying that now for young people, they spend seven times less on TV, on traditional TV than people over 60. So the change has been immense, and it's you only have to look at anyone, well, all of us, how much time we're just spending on these devices. It's incredible. So don't think of TikTok as being just for kids. It's not. There are opportunities. Of course, if you have got a young audience, it's super important to be on TikTok.
Yeah. So you mean,
sorry, Dave. It's just that I think he was saying that the average age was, or the main age user group was like 25 to 35 or something like that, which blew me away, because I honestly thought it was, as I say, under 20.
I think by the end of by Q1, you'll see a much different profile on TikTok. I think you'll have it a lot older. Just generally, it's an entertainment platform, and people are piling onto it quite quickly. I see a lot of people where they've got, say, 100,000 followers on Instagram, and then maybe 3,000 on TikTok, because they've just come onto TikTok, and it ramps up really quickly. Before you know it, they've got way more followers on TikTok.
My daughter, she's sorry, we're taking over, everyone. We can see the questions, we will come to them. But I was saying, my daughter on Instagram, I think she's got, like, I don't know, 15,000 followers, but on TikTok with the same content, she's got 700,000 followers. So it just shows a difference, and she's like mid-20s. So and her target market are people over 25, 30, really. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And just one last thing, a little nugget of information for our viewers then. So you mentioned about obviously the demographics of these platforms. Is there a reliable source to get that data? Is it just a Google search of to be able to find out things like that? Or is there a platform or a place that you guys can recommend where people after this could go away and start to research that kind of data, so they can start to build up that landscape of where they need to focus?
Yeah, again, another really good question, because you can research and go out there and, like, Google, because Google's a great place to start. What's the age profile on TikTok, and you will find information, but it's moving so fast that sometimes it is useful just to speak to a business like ours and just ask the question, because people will be happy to ask the question, and they'll maybe give you some comparisons of other businesses that are similar. So we work with hundreds of businesses currently, and work with over the years, probably way over 1,000. So or you can give people a steer on where it's best to go, and then provide the evidence for it, using our current customer knowledge and data. I think even now, if you were to say what's the age profile for TikTok, and we had TikTok in our offices about a month ago, they wouldn't share their latest data very openly around that. So what you're more reliant on, and if you get like an official report, like an Ofcom type report or an e-commerce report, they'll typically be from like someone like eMarketer. They're often like a year out of date. So by the time they're a year out of date, then if you look at the TikTok audience this time a year ago, it's very different. If you look at the Instagram audience a year ago, it's very different. So you can certainly start by looking at those, and we'll post up some platforms that we use. So we regularly use e-com platforms, eMarketer platforms to try and pick up data. But the best learning is from our own customer base.
Good, great. Well, I think this we've got a couple of questions, so maybe we'll move on to some of the questions that have been asked. We've got one from Susan Candle in the Q&A, and then there's another one from Alan Mehmet who registered a question in advance. So Susan, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to bring you on, and you can maybe ask the guys your question and have a bit of a chat with them. Are you there, Susan?
You broke up.
Oh.
Yeah, you broke up a bit there. So I can see the first question. So this is, I think, one probably for Kevin. So this is from Susan. I'm currently selling on Amazon Australia. However, I want to expand it into the UK as well. I got to know that we need to register VAT to sell the product in the UK. Could you please provide a genuine information in steps so that it can be more helpful?
Yeah. Are you there, Susan? Yeah.
Yeah, I am here. Yeah, it's just kind of like being curious to know, like, as I was kind of thinking to expand my business to UK as well.
Okay.
So I got no idea, like, what should I do and all these things. I was looking through the Google and the internet, and got to know like little bit about what to do with this VAT and all these things, but it's still not sure like what should I actually do.
Okay, so you're currently selling on Amazon Australia, and your product. How many products have you got?
Just one. Like, I actually started very recently. It has been like 3 to 4 months.
Right. Okay. So the first one is you don't need VAT to sell on Amazon. You don't need to register VAT, and actually within the UK, you don't need to register for VAT until you hit, I think it's
80,000, yeah.
80,000-ish roughly.
Yeah.
So once you've done 80,000 of sales, then you can register for VAT, and actually register. Is your company an Australian company?
Yeah. Like, I actually registered it here. Yes.
In Australia, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you can as an Australian company, you can sell on Amazon. So you would basically set up a sellercentral.co.uk account, and that will actually open up Europe for you as well. But basically, you can use your Australian company to set it up. I mean, what I would say is you're going to need to have, like, you're going to need to pay VAT if you hit 80,000 in sales. If you've only just started, it may not happen for a while. What type of product is it that you sell?
It's like a protein shake or something like that. Just a one product.
So what? Sorry, what product is it?
It is a bottle kind of a protein shaker.
A boiled praline cracker, did you say?
Protein
shake.
Yeah,
that's right. Shaker. Sorry, I've got some noise in the office.
And also, yeah, sorry about that. And also, like, as you mentioned about threshold, like 80,000 something, as I think I did some research, just a little bit of it, and got to know like it was meant to be for the UK resident only. If someone is an international seller, then they have to make it. Register for the VAT. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I saw one website with those information.
Not as far as, no, you can set up, I mean, you can actually set up as a seller on Amazon without having a business. You can set up as an individual seller. So individual sellers don't even have limited companies. But you like VAT is, I mean, it's the same. I mean, in EU law, if you have, so it sounds like on a street there, Susan. In EU law, if you have stock stored in a certain country, you have to have VAT in that country. So, for example, if you're UK based and you've got your stock in a French warehouse, you have to have VAT set up in France. But that's just the law for platforms, basically in Europe. But so I guess in that respect, maybe you do, but I don't think the UK require it. We're not kind of part of the EU in that respect, but I can double check for you and just confirm that.
All right, that would be helpful. And also, like, as if I want my product or like to ship in the UK to, is that would be the same case as well? So I don't need that any VAT registered.
No, I mean, if you've got your own website and you're selling in the UK, I mean, Amazon's not always the answer. So I mean, if you want to test the UK market, as Steve and Charlie will be able to tell you, like if you had your own like a Shopify website and test it using that, maybe, I mean, have you got social media following or anything at this stage?
Not so far.
Okay, so I would say, I mean, set up on Amazon, sure, but there's also other options such as social media and as like TikTok, you can actually set up a store on TikTok now as well. So if it's a protein shake, I mean, your audience is probably going to be on TikTok right now, I would suggest.
Definitely.
Yeah. So should we start as a business name, or like should you open an account with our personal name? Which one would be the best idea? As I'm not very familiar with this kind of like social stuff.
Easiest way would be business, because if you start as an individual, so when you sell on Amazon, you have to go through a verification process where they have to verify you as a person, your company as a business. And if you register as an individual, it's called, you'll need to then start showing things like tax returns and proof of address, and you'll need to do that anyway. But it's actually easier if you set it all up as a company to start with, because that process can take a good week or two anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Great. Brilliant. Susan, I hope that answers your question. Like I said, we'll follow up with everyone's contact details. If you do want to follow up with Kevin or Steve or Charlie, they give consultations, so you can obviously follow up with them afterwards. Hopefully that's answered your question. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Great. So we also have a question registered in advance from Alan Mehmet, who I'm going to bring on. But Alan has asked, customers from Amazon. So this is a question here about advertising costs. Alan, I'm going to allow you to talk. So yeah, if you'd like to unmute, and then you can ask your question if you're there, Alan. No, but in the meantime, maybe we can get started. So are there any ways you've found to move customers from Amazon to my website so I can lower my advertising costs and gain more control of customers? I think is what Alan was asking.
I think there's two answers. If I take a very quick answer, and then I think Steve and Charlie probably can answer this better, to move away. Are there any ways to move customers from Amazon? So the biggest thing that Amazon suggests, the biggest no-no with Amazon, is actually contacting the customer directly for anything apart from problems with the shipping, etc. So you know, if you haven't got something, you can contact the customer for that. I know some companies that put, and it goes against Amazon terms and conditions, by the way, but some companies put like postcards and stuff within the product saying, please like leave a review on our website. You see a lot of people doing that. That's not the way to do it. But so Alan, you're there now, yeah?
Hi guys, sorry about that.
Don't worry.
It's just, yeah, I mean, I've been selling on Amazon for a few years now, and I've dabbled a bit in Google shopping as well, but I feel to acquire the customer on Google, you're paying a lot more But obviously with that, you can open up a whole new way of marketing to them via email marketing, X, Y, Z. But the majority, all of my business is through Amazon. So I'm trying to think of the best way to like, if I can siphon them out onto my website at all, because my marketing costs, like my overall marketing costs are like 30%. And I think that's just way too high. I want to get it down to around 15% overall for the business. But it's just to acquire the customers on Amazon, it seems to be like too expensive effectively by the time you factor in their fulfillment fees and their like actual seller fees. It's like, it's a crazy amount. It's like over half of like your revenue effectively goes to them. So I'm just trying to think of ways to improve my business where I can effectively retain the customer and remarket to them in the most efficient way, if that makes sense.
So that was a good question. I mean, Charlie, happy for you to get involved with this one as well, but it's a very common question that we get. So, and I mean, ultimately, in terms of like scaling a business, we see a lot of businesses that start off on Amazon and eventually get to this point where they think, right, I've got so much from Amazon. How do I now scale it? How do I now really break the mold and grow from that? So it's and what I mean, this is generalization, but obviously Google's very competitive. Getting it right on Google, you say it's expensive. It may be expensive because it's not being done right, and just like we found in the past, in the early days of Google, back in say in the noughties, if you like, so 2006, 7, 8, it was easy to advertise on Google, and you could do it with without a great deal. You could do it quite easily and get a return on your investment. It's become harder over the years. What very much is important is the kind of the nature of the product and all of those sorts of things. So we will ask you that, but Charlie, if you want to expand on that at all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as you said, obviously all forms, like if you are running Amazon ads, Google ads, all of them can be improved. Generally what you find out, I mean, like a lot of the e-commerce business we work with have the same. They've got, whether you call it ACoS, average cost to sell, ROAS, they have a target of whatever. So what, if it's 20%, then you need 500% ROAS. There's kind of low hanging fruit on all the platforms. So there's always a point when you try to scale when you have to accept a worse ROAS or average cost to sell. And that might be okay because of the lifetime value, and because obviously you're sending traffic to your website, you're keeping all that data, as you said, right? You can remarket to them, you can send emails, so you might get more sales and you have a bit more control. What I would say is the simple, like using Google and Bing and Microsoft Shopping, you can set up a smallish campaign, set it to 500-600 ROAS, and it will find you sales at that cost, and that might level things up for you a bit more. And you might have 1 or 2 platforms that you keep very ROAS focused and use others where you scale a bit more. If you get the ads right on Amazon, obviously you can bring that average cost to sale down as well. So you kind of just have to keep testing things. And I would have some presence across the brands, across the different channels where you can, because like I say, you don't have to spend thousands on all of them. You can have some presence there. What else would I do? Obviously, putting your details on your product, like a lot of people don't put their web address on it, so you can't put the inserts in, but you can put your direct company details on the product packaging, branding. And the other one is the inserts. Yeah, it's a funny area, isn't it, Kevin? You probably know more than me, but I know you can do an insert if you drive people to a different site, not the e-commerce store, but maybe a different piece of content, like a video or something like that, or a social channel.
Something which works really well is certainly if you offer like a product that you could have a warranty, or register here to get something, not something free, because as soon as it's something free you're in trouble. But like certainly with electrical products, if you offer a standard 1-year warranty but actually register on our website to get 2 years, if you, I know you're Alan, I think you sell in room fragrance and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I sell like home fragrance, like diffusers, candles, wax melts, trying to branch off into like essential oils now.
So what you could do then is maybe kind of as an insert offer people the opportunity to I don't know, give them 6 months warranty or something, you know, by registering. Or that might be a way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And how much do they sell for, Alan?
They vary range, but around 50 to 60 pounds, say, for a diffuser. So like, it's not a cheap item. Candles vary from like 30 to 60 pounds, say.
I mean, there should be enough margin on that to be playing on Google Shopping and getting some sort of return as well, and that will allow you to try and, you know, and also, you know, for the long-term development of the brand, you'd probably be looking to try and you know, to try experimenting with advertising on some of the other platforms.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something I'm thinking about. It's a whole new world basically, because Amazon is it's simple, isn't it? Someone's going to buy something, but on social media, you need a content strategy, for example, and this has opened up my eyes, sort of thing. It's like you have to feed the machine almost. I'm sort of a one-man band, if that makes sense.
Well, it goes back to that chart I showed earlier, which is like, you know, then and now, which, you know, there's so many different different channels that you might need to consider. But you can still grow it. You don't need to rush the growth. You can just start experimenting and grow it slowly with the different channels, like, you know, like Instagram and so on, and maybe even TikTok. You can grow it slowly, and you certainly should be looking at Google and even Microsoft Shopping as well, with that kind of price. And I can imagine the sort of margin that you might make. You've got room to play there. Where it's difficult, you know, sometimes we get people that will come up to us and they've got a product. And it can work, but if the product price is very low, you know, even if it's, you know, £10, £7, £6, sometimes that can be challenging on other platforms, because you just really you're competing for space with people that have got you know, much higher margins and higher sales prices.
It feels to me like Alan, you've got, like with wax melts especially, because it's quite a, I mean, we worked with a couple of companies that do room diffusers and wax melts and stuff. But they're the sort of thing that you could do really good, interesting videos for, I would have thought, which on the channels like TikTok and Instagram would be quite interesting, because it's not something that most people have seen yet, I would have thought, wax melts.
No, yeah, it sounds really strange, but my goal for the business is to eventually sell it, and it's like I need a system where I'm not effectively doing everything, if that makes sense. So like with social media, would I be making all of the content to like push to that? But that's not a sellable system.
No, that's a really good. So what you've just said there is very interesting. So the fact that you want to sell it at some point, we get, and there are a lot of people where it's very good that you're open about that. So one of the key things in selling it, the value of the business, right? We know this from experience working with lots of businesses. The value of the business is going to be massively enhanced if you can show that you're working across different channels. So if you're just working with one channel, someone will say, "Oh, I like it. It's great. I can see the profit you're making, but you're very dependent on Amazon, aren't you? What happens if Amazon do this or do that?" So you need to be able to increase the value. You should definitely look at expanding into those other channels and grow, and showing you've got a presence on all of them. That will help a lot. And there's a plan. There's like on a one page, there's like a 2-year plan for you that you could follow. It would mean potentially that you're going to be investing to try and get that growth, but there's a plan there, or a roadmap to try and get you to be able to sell it, and it involves going into the other channels for sure, and all that. Again, even if it wasn't just the other channels about showing that your lack of reliance on Amazon, the fact that you've got a relationship directly with the consumer because they're buying from your website rather than through Amazon, that builds you up data, that builds you up knowledge about who your customer base are. And that again is valuable to anyone looking to buy the business.
Yeah, and the multiples they buy it at will be far higher.
Exactly. So basically, if someone's making, I'm going to make this up. Someone's making 300 grand a year profit through selling through Amazon. Great, that's wonderful. But if they're making 300 grand a year profit and they're selling through other platforms as well, then their multiple will be higher. What someone's prepared to pay will be higher because they can see it's not complete. They're not going to get beaten down on price because they're not dependent on one channel.
That makes sense. Thank you, gents.
Pleasure.
Yeah, what you should do, I mean, we put in the chat, there's a consultation we'll do. We're very happy to give you some free advice. It's like a 30-minute consultation, so we put it in the chat, and that applies for anyone.
Yep, we'll do. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Alan.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alan. If anyone else has any questions, we've got plenty of time left, so do pop them in the Q&A.
Michael's asked, I think Michael's asked a question.
Oh, yeah. Michael Kirstein. So has anyone tried Amazon attribution program, as when he tried the costs were uneconomical? So I guess that might kind of factor a bit into what we've just spoken about, but let's see if we can.
Yeah, Michael's there. Yeah. Hi, Michael.
Hi guys. I don't know the actual name for it, but Amazon have got this new advertising program. So as well as sponsored products, you can get Amazon to follow potential customers that have been on your listing on Amazon when they go off on other sites. So they follow them around a bit like Facebook and then bring them back to Amazon again. Every time I've tried it, it seems attractive, but it just chews up my budget.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've not worked with anyone using Amazon attribution. Have you, Charlie, heard of that program?
Not sure. I think isn't it their solution to rival the display network?
Yeah, I think
you just use the data. You used to have to put a minimum budget of 10,000. So I don't know.
Cheaper now.
Really.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you what, Michael. For next time we're running one of these again mid-September.
Yeah.
When we do that, I'll do some digging and test it out in the meantime. Because I don't know yet at all. I can't help you on that one.
Okay.
What is it you're selling, Michael?
I've got a very, very niche product. It's called Easy Phone. We are selling products for the elderly, basically, to help them keep in touch with family, friends, and emergency services. So it's in demand. We're pretty busy on Amazon, but I've been listening to some of the other comments that I'm now introducing various subscription models on our products. So whilst I'm selling boxes out of Amazon, I really need to circle back and get the people to subscribe to, let's say, a 24/7 monitoring service, or, you know, book a carer, all these sort of add-on services. Very difficult on Amazon to explain all the USPs that we've got. So the box is getting a bit full of leaflets at the moment.
There is, if Michael, if you can hit me up on my email on the chat, I'm involved with something else that I think will help you with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're Kevin, yeah?
That's correct. Yeah, Kevin@fuelmy.com.
All right. Yeah,
it's not related to this, but I definitely help you on that.
We've got as well a lot of examples that are really useful, where we've been putting in big campaigns for people doing things like mobility scooters,
oh, wow.
Obviously care homes. So that audience where we're targeting actually like people my age that are worried about their parents, and we're using different.
Well, that's the irony in my business, that it's used by the next generation above us. I'm a similar age to you, but the buyers are our sort of age.
Yeah.
But then I've got another problem. I don't want to give you all my problems, but because they're bought by the younger generation who understand smartphones and tech products, they sort of leave them with their elderly parents, saying, you know, they're time poor but guilty, they're not seeing them. So I'm getting a disproportionately high rate of returns where mum and dad can't actually use it. So now Amazon are penalizing me, saying, oh, everyone's sending your product back. Well, it's not the product, it's the user. I do have lots of videos on our channel, but there is a problem that's affecting my rating thing on Amazon, you know, my returns and everything else, and the profitability. I mean, our phones are anywhere between 30 to shortly £200, so they're expensive, and every return hurts.
Yeah,
Sorry,
very familiar. I'm very familiar with that challenge.
Okay.
Having had parents in their 80s that I've tried to get onto things like Spotify, and it's just given up. But
It
yeah.
sort of makes sense, especially WhatsApp. You know, they can see the family for free. Try to make it as easy as possible. I mean, just look up easy phones and you're sort of.
Yeah, we'll have a look. It sounds like a great, very interesting product. That whole marketplace is very interesting. How you, you know, how you market products that end up being used by, you know, people frankly in their 70s and 80s, but are actually, you know, how you actually get to that market is very, very interesting.
It's a huge demographic. I mean, I think there's something like 13 million people over 65. Life expectancy is
increasing,
longer.
isn't it?
Yeah, and also, without being too depressing, loneliness is another big problem for the elderly. They're sort of left in their own home. So, yeah, our products are a way of, you know, keeping connected. I mean, you can't function nowadays without a smartphone. You know, banking, tickets, shopping, it just goes on and on. But anyway, it's a challenge. I'm trying to address it as best I can. So any help along the way will be gratefully received.
Yeah, it sounds like we worked with a company a while ago that had big buttoned phones.
Well, that's fine. That's what I've got. Yeah, that's what we started. I mean, I've moved on it.
I can see on your website,
smartphones, yeah.
So they yeah. I mean, if the problem is getting them to use it, then I guess that's kind of maybe where you'd advertise a video, Steve, wouldn't you, for that?
I mean, it sounds like video, and I know it sounds like you've got some big video already, but look, this product sounds to me actually sounds very exciting, because it's a product that you would want on the social platforms, being seen by people my age. You know, you can literally target people that you probably know have got parents that are in their 70s and 80s. It sounds like a brilliant product for video, really strong video content. It's also good to see it's a product that is really helpful to people. So it's one of those classic ones where you feel good about advertising product that's actually going to improve people's lives.
I hope so. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be in touch with all you guys and we'll see where we go. And I use GS1 as well for our
good stuff.
USB. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. Great. So I think from one Michael to another Michael, we've got a question from Michael Millwood, who has come to a few of our sessions. So good to see you back again. Michael, you should be able to come online and ask your question.
Yeah, the question, that's an interesting question.
I'm mute. Hello there, can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I have a website called Workplace Learning Centre, wplc.co.uk. We sell learning resources. We have tried all of the big payment providers, WorldPay, etc. Never been particularly happy with them. And looking at using Amazon payments as our credit card transaction service, and also having an Amazon version of the shop as well. But as other people have said, Amazon fees seem so unreasonable. It's almost like much more than is a reasonable cost. But is it possible to have Amazon payments without having the Amazon shop? Is it worth using Amazon payments? All those sorts of things. What's your view of Amazon payments?
Okay, hi Michael again.
Hello.
There's a few questions in there. I mean, the one about the shop, I mean, that's something that if you're on Amazon, definitely have a shop. I mean, it's so crucial to have a shop on Amazon these days, because when you look at any listings on Amazon, it's got just underneath the title, it says visit this brand. You click on that and you go into the middle of nowhere. But if you have a shop, it will say visit your shop, and then you can keep them within your brand. Absolutely crucial to have a shop more than anything on Amazon these days.
Right.
5 years ago, I'd have been saying, no, it's all about A+ content, but no, it's about Amazon shops are probably the single most important thing after the listing. Regarding payments, now I don't know. I mean, do you mean as if putting a link on your website to the FBA products, or are you thinking more about using Amazon instead of, say, I don't know, PayPal?
Well, we take payments by PayPal as well at the moment, but using Amazon instead of WorldPay.
Right. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Do you guys at Push have any?
Not really. We've always just used the basic WorldPay and so on for e-commerce sites. I don't even know what the transaction fees are on that.
I've used Stripe. I think Stripe's very good. Have you tried Stripe, Michael?
It's another one that we're looking at. We're just thinking essentially that if someone has already bought into Amazon Prime perhaps, then they might be a little bit more confident, just like clicking a button and say they pay by Amazon. And because they're already registered with Amazon, then there might be less risk of fraudulent payment.
Got you. I imagine Amazon Payments works in the same way as the Stripes of this world and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in honesty, I think people kind of are used to kind of seeing the Stripe process. I think what it is about actually the trust on your website, isn't it? Really, is the most important thing here, rather than the payment provider.
Yes, from a customer's perspective,
yeah,
being able to see our website and all the information about us on our website, and that we are real people with real premises and people can contact us. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
My issue as a retailer is that if something happens on a WorldPay type of credit card transaction, where somebody places an order and it's fraudulent, right? I am those mainstream credit card processing organizations say it's my fault, right? I'm the person who's responsible for the payment actually going through to their payment gateway, even to the extent where I have notified those types of payment providers that I believe the credit card payment is fraudulent. They've done some investigations and said, yes, it is, but you're still liable for it. So I'm going like, no, I'm not, right? But I've been the one who's identified that credit card is being used illegally. Even the person whose credit card, it was their credit card in their name, did not know that it had been copied, right? I was the one that raised that, but it's my responsibility to cover the cost of the payments that are trying to be made on my website as a result of that. So we got rid of that payment service provider, and I'm trying to find a more secure option. And my logic, is that if somebody is registered with Amazon and we go through to Amazon Payments, then Amazon know all about these people. Excuse me. And so from my perspective as a retailer, it gives me an extra little tick in the box to say that credit card payment is authentic.
I don't think it works like that though, Amazon Pay. I think it works like a Stripe or WorldPay or whomever. So I think it's just a payment processor. Because I could pay. So let's say you had Amazon Pay on your website. I think I could pay with a fraudulent credit card just the same way without having an Amazon account.
Right. Okay.
That's my feeling. I'm just looking at Amazon Pay now, and it seems like it says Amazon Pay accepted credit card, debit card, direct debit. I mean, I think it's the same issue whatever you use, really.
Right. Okay.
Dan, have you got any experience in that? You've been in around this world a lot, haven't you?
Not so much on the payment side of things. I'm afraid it's probably not very helpful, Michael. I'm afraid, but yeah, like, not so much on the payment side of things. More sort of comms and the strategy side of things. But yeah, the payment side of things I haven't particularly got involved with, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll continue to investigate, and I'll let you know what I find out.
Do and come back and yeah, let us know how how you've got on. I think that's the thing with these sessions. We're trying to keep that community element, and one problem learned in one place is a problem solved in another place. So yeah, do keep us posted.
Yeah, be interesting to know about other people's experience as well of like, as online retailers, we're all dependent on the security of the payment mechanism, and what other experiences people have had, and which one of the payment mechanisms is the most secure, and make sure that you get your money. Yeah, because we're all at the same sort of time. When an order comes in, the money doesn't arrive at the same time as the order, but there is a great emphasis on getting that order out as quickly as possible and to the client. And you can't always wait until you've got guaranteed funds arriving in your bank account. So anyone's experience, I'm very interested to hear how they're solving the problem of security and potential fraud.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question we can look into for the next session as well. That'd be quite cool.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael.
There are other questions prior to the. I mean, I'm conscious that we've got about a minute left, so perhaps we'll leave that for next time, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. We'll be back again next month, and we'll follow up with the recording and everyone's contact details here, so you can reach out to them after the session. As I said, we are going to make these a little bit more structured in terms of the themes of content. So, for example, there'll be some sessions coming up around Black Friday and how to prepare yourselves and your Amazon listings and your e-commerce strategies, how to prepare them for Black Friday. Post that, it will be a focus on, dare I say it, Christmas, and how you prepare yourselves for the Christmas rush. So we're hoping that these tick off some of the big trading milestones. But likewise, if you guys have any specific requests or things you want to hear about, do reply back to the follow-up email that I'll send out, and we're happy to do if there's enough demand for things to focus on specific topics and anything you guys need help with. But as I said, yeah, we'll be doing another one in a month's time in September. So
I mean, it's a quick question to those that are actually watching now. How many of you have actually started thinking about Black Friday already? I mean, just put a yes or a no really in the chat. That'll be interesting to see. Okay. Because we often find that Steve and Charlie and Lorna and will testify this. People start thinking about Black Friday generally about 2 or 3 weeks before it starts popping up on adverts.
Yeah, it's generally a bit too late. Overall, we need to plan a lot earlier. So that's the general consensus of the thing.
Yeah, and I think also, so the next one we do is, I think it's going to be a bit about Amazon preparing your listings best. Well, I think we covered that last time, but actually, I think it's actually setting up the marketing around it.
Yeah,
because I'm assuming you need a good runway on that, don't you? With content and it's not just about your Amazon listings really, or your website listings even, because they're quite static, aren't they? When you build your website listing, it's static. When your Amazon listing is pretty static, but it's that content is probably the bit you need to be thinking about most right now, really.
Especially if you're testing something a little bit new, you don't want to be testing right in the thick of the Black Friday run up. You want to be testing it earlier to get the learnings, to then know what you're refining it so that you're ready to rock in the key sort of month or 6 weeks before Black Friday.
And what would you say? Sorry, I'm conscious of time. We'll be opposite, but Steve, what would you say is the best kind of? How long would you allow testing? Like if you're doing A/B testing of an advert or something, what would you say?
I mean, ideally a couple of months, but at least 6 weeks, 4 weeks is possible, but you do need some time. sure. And we've actually had some people that we've that have come to us with or potential new clients that come to us and said, look, we want to kick off in October, and we've said wait till January because it's the wrong time to start learning into October. Yeah, by the time we've learned through the different split tests we might do, you're getting into the key month. It's too tight. So yeah, I think a couple of months is great.
Yeah. So that just anyone who's watching this video after or now, I mean, it'll be really worth your while coming to the next one, because I think that's what we're going to cover, and it'll be probably at the latest point to really start doing anything when we do that.
You'd all be amazed, but I'm sure. But we get people, the amount of people we get contacting us in like late November, early December with something they want to shift in in run up to Christmas. It's still incredible that you get those inquiries and you think we just can't touch it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. We're overrunning just by a few minutes, but I hope we've managed to help you guys and give you a bit of content and sort of advice to take away. The next session is on the 14th of September. It's a Wednesday at 10 to 11 again. We'll send out invites to that in the follow-up email, like I said, along with everyone's contact details. So yeah, thanks for joining, and thanks Charlie, Steve and Kevin for delivering the support, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a month's time.